Okay, I think we are live now. Okay, great. So today we are going to be taking a look at interactions, basically. So, like we said, some of the tools you can use to improve the experience of an app uh, includes things like the copywriting. Okay, if you are asked to improve the experience of an app, or you are called in as a user experience designer, some of the tools or um, some of the things you can use to improve the experience of that app includes the copy, right? Making sure that the copy is clear, short, and direct to what it is supposed to do, so that people don't have to read so much, right, to actually get what the thing does. Another tool you could use is your information architecture. We are going to take a look at some of these things. Information architecture, that means basically arranging your information in a way that makes logical sense, right? The way you arrange information on your app or website. That is the information architecture. Another tool you could use to make your experience better is the aesthetic, to make the design more pleasing to the eyes, very aesthetics, use of the basic principles of design like your color, contrast, all those things, contrast, alignment, making sure everything fits perfectly well, right? Now, another one you could use to improve the experience of an app is micro interactions. So with micro interactions, you can animate some certain things just to improve the experience of the app. Imagine maybe a screen where someone is supposed to win something. Instead of just giving the person a screen that shows congratulations, you just won something. You could, display like a confetti, or that congratulation you just won might come up in a gift box that will be pulsating, right? So it just improves the experience, the mood changes, right? And also you can use micro interactions for feedbacks as well. Now imagine when you hover on something, if there is no feedback, you might not really know what is going on. Right now, if I'm speaking, looking at the Google Meet interface, as I'm speaking, I'm seeing some kind of animation on my avatar, which shows me that, okay, I'm actually speaking, right? If I look at the participant right now, I can see that, okay, someone's mic is on, like, right? And I can see that, okay, if the person starts speaking, those three dots start animating. It helps with the whole interaction. If you hover on any of this icon, you notice the little change in color or change in size. So there are a whole lot of things you can do with micro interactions. And I'm going to show you how to create some micro interactions right on Figma, and we go in and create some. But the essence of this is not the class to show you everything about micro interaction or a class to teach you principles of animation. It's a 3 months class. And for you to get a job, an entry-level job, trust me, you don't need that right now. Okay, it's something you can learn over time. But the basics, you need the basics. You need to understand the basics and also be able to create the basics. Also, the basics serves as a foundation for your creativity as well. Remember, I told you guys you can't really be creative except you know how to create. You need to learn how to create first. So understanding the basics helps you, improve upon it. So we're trying to set a very good foundation for interaction this evening. Are we together? So let's proceed. It's a very short slide. So micro interactions, like I said, they are small contained product moments that accomplishes a simple task. These are subtle animations or visual responses designed to create engaging and intuitive user experience. Okay, again, that you need rocket science to understand what it is. It's basically improving how someone feels when they use your app, right? And I've told you some of the things you could use to make sure that your app makes, has a better experience, right? And some of the key characteristics of micro interaction, we have single task focus. So micro interactions are designed to perform one specific function. Examples include liking a post, toggle a switch, or receiving notification. You notice that when you are using your Instagram app, when you like a post, there is an interaction that happens there to show that, oh, there's a feedback. You've liked this post. Okay, now the post has been liked by you. It could be change of color or anything at all, right? So there are some properties you could change when doing micro interaction, and that is what we're going to take a look at. And we also take a look at things that might be confusing you, because sometimes people get confused and they want to do everything on Figma. Okay, and when you're not able to achieve it on Figma, you get angry. So like we said, when you like something, something happens. When you toggle a switch on, something happens. Or when you receive a notification, something happens. Now, interaction, aside interaction, there's even, if you want, we could go into things like the audio part, but all those things, you don't need it right now. These are things you learn later, because you even have audio part, you even have the vibration, the sound part, right? But we're not going into all those ones right now. But your notification, maybe by the time the thing sound ding, the animation of the notification bar could jiggle, right? So these are single task focus kind of animation, right? And the next one you have, they are trigger animation. Trigger simply means it starts when something is being triggered, right? So each micro interaction begins with a trigger, which can be user initiated. Like when you click a button, this should happen. I want you to, the first one is single focused, right? But this particular one is initiated by you, right? So, or by the system. So something like when you click on a button, what should happen? Maybe you click on a button, it changes to something else, or it morphs into something else. And you also have system initiated, like receiving a message. So those ones are trigger. Then you have feedback. For feedback, they provide immediate feedback to users, indicating the outcome of the action. This can be visual color change, animation, auditory sound effect, or haptic vibration. Example, if someone enters a wrong email account, you could just do a simple animation to say, okay, ask a feedback to say, this is a wrong email account, you should enter something else. So these are different types of animations. Okay, and I just want us to be fast with this theoretical part, so we'll go to Figma. Then we have rules. Micro interactions follow a set of rules that determines what happens in what order. These rules ensure consistent and predictable behavior. We have loops, repetition, right? Repetition. There are some interaction that can be done to repeat over and over and over and over and over. For example, a loading spin is a loop that continues until the loading process is complete. So when you are trying to animate an element, what exactly can you animate? What exactly can you animate? Understanding what you can animate will help you know the possibilities. While the possibilities are, countless, there are some basic things that if you understand, you can create any animation you can imagine, right? And in most cases with the right software. So these are some of the things you could animate. Okay, so whenever you have an element you want to animate, you can animate something like the transformation. Transformation simply means the movement. Okay, the X and Y axis. So the X and Y axis, let me get this. Okay, so let me go to this. Trying to get the file so you can understand what I mean by the X and Y axis. So Designgate stream, where is stream 4? Let me open stream 4, playground. So I'm trying to open stream 4 so I can explain some of these things and you understand it better. Okay, so some of the things we can we can change, okay, include the transformation, the X and Y axis of a particular element in a particular given space. So let's say it's on 55, you can move it to 60, and then you've changed the position of that particular element. Let me see if it has opened. Okay, still opening. Another thing you can change is opacity. Opacity, basically the transparency. How opaque is that particular layer with respect to the underlying layer, right? Or the layer above. So the opacity, you can change the opacity. Another thing you can change is the color. Okay, and that thing you can change is the color. So you can change colors, and that thing you can change is the size of the elements. So you can change the size of the element. Another thing you can also change is the margin and the padding. The margin and the padding. For instance, opacity. If opacity is 0, you will not see the stuff. If it is 100, you will see it. So if you have 0 and 100, two states, you've virtually created a disappear and appear kind of what interaction. We have margin and padding where you can make things to grow inside it or beside other elements. You have border, so you can also animate the border of an element. The border basically is the outline. Okay, now you have the fill color. The fill color, that's the background. You can animate the background. You can also animate the clip part when you're using things like clip content, or if you're using things like mask, you can animate the clip part. Now, if you're using something like effects, shadows, you can animate shadows. You can animate the inner shadows, outer shadows, layer blur. You can animate all those effects right on that particular element. Then you have visibility and display, where you can turn on the layer, you can turn the layer on or off, on or off. Like I said, I'm going to be showing us the basics. Over time, you get better with your animation skill. But this is not something I want you to go and dwell so much on. Like I said, at this stage, okay, at this stage, most companies, what they want you to do is the idea you bring, your ability to have an idea for a problem and being able to design it, right? Most of the time, the animation might be handled by the front end designer. And one thing before we go to Figma, I also want you to know is not all animation or micro interactions are done on Figma, okay? So you don't confuse yourself. Some animations are done in in a different app. Example, some people can do their animation, maybe a 3D animation in an app like Spline or Cinema 4D or any 3D app. They can render that animation as video and place it on their website. Now, some people can even do some interactive animation whereby they use something like After Effects to make their screen interactive, and then they program it so that people can, drag and drop. Now, there are some animation, like I'm saying, there's some animation that will be video. It will be done in another app and then placed in the design. So when you see animations like that, don't get confused. Don't think you are coming to be doing it on Figma. If you give it enough time, you might do it, but I don't support wasting so much time on Figma trying to do animations. Figma by default is not really an animation tool or a prototype tool that is that robust, right? In fact, instead you have some, softwares, open source animation tools you could use. For 3D, you have the WebGL and the rest of them. But if you want to go to front end development, then you can learn all those things. But you want to make sure you follow the basics, so you don't go and do something that is unnecessary. A better app um, for prototyping, right? When it comes to prototyping, one of the best app for prototyping for me is Protopie. Okay, so if you really like interaction, if you really like prototyping, this is one software you can actually learn. It shouldn't take you up to 1 month to get used to it. Okay, with this you can actually create realistic prototype. You can have realistic keyboard and realistic input and realistic output. Okay, so you can actually use it to connect. You can connect it to different real life apps when prototyping. You can connect it to cars, you can connect it to IoTs basically, right? So you can get that real life interaction. So if you are really big on interaction and prototyping, you can always see how to learn Protopie, right? Immediately after this class, after you are done with your project, you can learn it. Within 1 month, you should be able to get done with it. But again, it is not compulsory to get an entry-level job. A lot of people would just want you to create the designs and have the developer handle the rest. That's the reality. But in some cases, or you also want to show off, right? You want to also advance your skill. Now, One of the easiest ways again to get animations for your project is to use softwares like websites like Jita, Lottie Files. So we have Lottie Files here. You just need to sign up. When you sign up, you can search for different animations. For instance, if I come here and I click and I search for loading, I'm going to see different ones created by different designers. Again, at this stage, please and please and please don't come and say you want to learn animation, especially if you are not really the type that is into animation. What I'm going to teach you is something that should be enough for you to work on your project, right? The first rule in tech is to reuse. So if you see something that is already good that you can use for your project as a product designer, use it. Chances are where you are working, they might have some of their interactions already saved, right? So all you need to do is to implement. But like I said, that's this entry level. As time goes on, you can now improve your skills. I know how to use some of these tools. I didn't learn them in 3 months. I didn't even learn them in 1 year, not even in 2 years. Okay. So I don't want you to stress yourself unnecessarily. Now, when it comes to motion graphics, instead of using apps like After Effects, you could, so let me just be fixing these things here. We have Lottie files. Okay, let me be pasting these links here. So your Lottie files, you want to make sure you get them as GIF. Also, you can get this directly from Figma. You just need to search for Lottie files. Okay, so someone said, so another question: what kind of animation can be done on a web app or website, and what animation should be done on a mobile? Well, depending on the technology, mobiles have gone far right now. Okay, so you can do a lot of things on mobile and also on desktop. Like I said, with 3D, you have WebGL. Okay, you have WebGL. You can use a lot of them to create your interactions or your animation. There are a lot of websites you can use to create animation and embed inside your website, whether it's a WordPress website or any kind of website. Okay, let me put this on Protopie for prototyping. Okay, Protopie for prototyping. And if you want to create motion graphics for your project, you can use Jita. Okay, you can use Jita. So with Jita, instead of using something like After Effects, Jita provides you this easy way to create motion graphics. Then you can use it on your websites. Okay, so Jita.video, let me just paste that here. Then let's go back to our presentation. I want to round up this presentation within the next 6 minutes. I wanted to show me Jita, not my file. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Now, the next thing here, let's come back here. So, like I said, if you have an element, let's come here. Okay, this is the wrong file. I opened the wrong file. Let me open the right file. Meanwhile, while I'm trying to open the right file, if you have any question, please drop it so we can. Okay. So like I said, these are the properties you can animate when you want to create animation. And all these properties, you can find it on an element. Any element you literally drop on, you literally draw, you can see all these properties and you can animate it. Trying to see. Okay, this has opened. Okay, okay, we have here. Okay, so we have micro interaction. Okay, so if I draw any elements, if I draw any element, I want to try and show you those properties. Okay, now if I draw any elements, transform. When I say transform, okay, transformation, I'm simply talking about this place where you have x and y axis. Okay, x and y axis. You can see if I move this here, you can see the x increasing. If I move it up, you see the y increasing. If I move it all around, you see the x and y increasing. So you can move things around for your animation. Okay, and then the next one we have here is opacity. Opacity you can control by the fill or the layer. So if I want to do the layer, I come here. Opacity right now is at 100%. At 0, you probably won't see anything. At 50, it will be very faint. Okay, so that's opacity. You have color. So this is the color. I can switch up the colors to another color based on what I'm trying to do or achieve. You also have the size. So I can increase or reduce or change the scaling basically when trying to create my micro interaction. I can also do margin and padding, but this will need an extra container so that I can use it to increase the padding or reduce the padding. Then we have border, so I can decide, okay, let me add a stroke, or let me increase this to red and just make it extremely big so we can see. I can add a stroke or remove a stroke. And we have clip background, which is just like the color or adding pictures or things like that. Clip parts, we don't have like a clip content right now. So, but basically, if you have like a clip content, the part you could animate it. Then you have effects. I can go ahead and add shadow on my number 1 and decided, okay, I don't want that shadow on number 2, or I want it visibility and display. That display that's on this particular place. So on this layer, right, I can just turn it off or turn it on, turn it off or turn it on. That's the visibility and also display. Now on the display, if I have multiple things, I can decide, okay, on this one you people should display this way, right? And on the second one, I want to make sure it displays this other way. Okay, so if you have these 3 things, let's say 1 2 3, shift A, let me add it in an auto frame. Now on the second one, I might decide to change the direction to this one. So you find out that I have these 2 display here. So on one I have this, and on that one I have this one. So these are basically the displays, how you display something. You can animate it. So what are the basics? What are the foundations of animation that you should understand at this level? Like I said, I'm not going to teach you principles of motions and all those things, right? The time, you can learn those ones later on. So what exactly is the main foundation? So to do anything animation, you have to just understand these things. So I call it the animation logic, okay? So this is all about the initial and end state of the properties of an element. Remember, first we took a look at animation properties. Okay, we took a look at animation properties. What can you animate in elements? Now the next thing is saying animation logic is all about what? The initial and end state of the properties. So anytime you are creating an animation, you have majorly 2 states: the initial state and the end state. And if you want to create motion, you always have to have the end state in mind, because that is where the magic happens. The magic happens at the ending state. And in some cases, you might want to reverse it, right? And in some cases, you want it to be looping between the beginning and the end, beginning and the end. Now, you can also have middle states and do a lot of other things, but the most concept is what? The initial and the end state. Now, for most animation apps, right, anytime you want to do an animation, all you need to do is you have your initial state, okay, and you have your end state. Now, what happens between that initial state to the end state happens on something called a timeline, okay? It happens on something called a timeline. So from the initial state down to the end state, in between them is what you call what? Timeline. Now, this timeline has 3 things affecting it. Okay, let's say each of this timeline is the point at which the change occurs, or any change occurs is being controlled by something called keyframes. Okay, so initial state here, are we together? Initial state, end state, from here to here, as they are changing, you have something called keyframes. And each of these keyframes, you are able to edit them to change what happens in between until it reaches the end state, right? The first state, the initial state is always the first keyframe. The last state is the end keyframe. Everything in between is in the timeline, and it is called the timeline. Okay, everything between is like the timeline. The timeline is being affected by three things. One is the duration. Okay, the timeline determines the duration as well. Okay, so if you set the initial state and the end state and you want the change to occur between 2 seconds, that timeline is going to be what? 2 seconds for that particular interaction. Are you getting it? But the duration can also be affected by the speed. So within that timeline that animation or that interaction is going to occur, you can decide to speed up the process or slow it down. And if the original duration is 2 minutes, so the main determinant here of the duration is also the speed. So if the original duration is 2 minutes, you find out that if you increase the speed, it becomes 1 minute. If you reduce the speed, it could go to 3 minutes. Okay, although in most micro interaction we are dealing with seconds, not really minutes. Okay, milliseconds in most cases, milliseconds, right? So you need to understand. And then the last one that is very important is the easing. How smooth or how smooth the animation basically occurs within the timeline. That is the easing. And there is a physics behind easing. Unfortunately, we won't be doing physics behind the physics behind easing, but I will show you, I'll give you enough information to help you create good easing, or just use the already made ones. Okay, but I will explain it. So again, animation logic. You just need to understand that if you want to create animation, it's all about two things: the initial state and then the end state. Initial state, end state. Now, in between it, something is going to happen. For instance, this particular animation we are seeing here is basically a circle. Okay, sorry, I think my network disconnected. I had to connect to another to my mobile. So, like I was saying, if you notice on this animation right now, we have a circle here with this kind of cyan color at the beginning of the keyframe, or the initial stage. Now, when it went all the way to the end state, it is now orange and it's also bigger. So two properties were animated here. One is the color and two is the size. And you can see in between the keyframes, you could gradually see this blue interpolating and going from blue down to orange. Are we together? Now, in some animation tools, the tool itself can help us interpolate between the first keyframe and the second keyframe. But then if you want, you can introduce something called secondary motions. You could do a lot of things in between the time before it gets to the end state. Even at the end state, you could introduce another layer, right? Another layer of design, or another layer of interaction right there. But we're not going to go too deep and make everything a little bit complicated, right? So I want to make sure this is as simple as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is to actually feed our eyes. It's always important to feed your eyes. But from this explanation, I don't know, do you have any question? This is just animation logic. Every animation follows this rule: initial state, end state. Then you have your keyframes in between interpolating, right? So if you want this change to this and become green, become orange. This is basically what you do. You have to design the initial state, and also you have to design the end state, and both of them will be interpolated using keyframes. Okay. Any question? Do you have any question? Okay, so I will proceed now. So since you understand, let me show you some certain things. So let me bring this here. So let's take a look at this. Okay, let's take a look at this website. Here you can see some micro interactions. You can, but don't go and do pass yourself. Oh, just it's just for inspiration. Now let's take a look at these micro interactions here, like this one here on the social media part. Now you see when this one, it is set to the trigger here is hover. Okay, the trigger here is hover. So if I hover, you see what happens. When I hover, you see what happens. When I hover, you see what happens. Now, this first one you are seeing is the initial state. You can see that on the initial state. Okay, Emmanuel, what's your question? Emmanuel, go ahead. Emmanuel, I can't hear you. Maybe if you're watching us on YouTube and you have a question, don't forget to drop it right in the comment section so we can answer. Okay. Now, I just had to zoom in so we can see what's going on. So on this particular page, okay, let's take a look at the first ones. Okay, let's take a look at the ones up. You can see the initial state. The initial state is like a gray circle and a gray icon. Now, the end state, okay, the end state, you have an arrow and then a glow, and you can see they've added effects. They've also increased the thickness of the outline, and they've also added a black color instead of that gray we had, and then they've swapped the arrow. So you can see there are a lot of things going on here. Okay, there are a lot of things going on here. So if you want to redesign this, or you want to recreate this interaction, you find out that you have to do, it's not just two states now, but if you want to start from the basic, we are going to say this has what, two states. This is the initial state and this is the end state. Now in between, we are going to create some kind of, you have to think of it well. Okay, you have to think of it and look at what is actually going on to really understand what is happening here. Let's take a look at the two states first. State one. So state is basically where it's resting. When it's resting, that's what we call state. Okay, and we're going to take let's take a look at the animation in between. The first state, when it's resting. Let's take a look at everything again, and we're looking at the top one. So if you look at it, where you can see that the first resting state, you have the YouTube logo and then a circle with an outline and black background. Now if you hover, you get to the last state, the end state, where you have the circle now, but the YouTube logo is no longer here. We now have an arrow, and then this logo, this circle now has like a glow effect, and the outline have gone from gray to yellow and also have increased in thickness. These are the two things you are going to observe. But again, if you observe well, what exactly happened to the YouTube logo? Let me hover again. This time around, I don't want you to pay attention to the circles and whatever is happening within the circle. I want you to focus on the icon, this back icon, and the arrow icon. Okay, I want you to focus on the back icon and the arrow icon. Let me move away. Now focus on back icon and the arrow icon. Sorry, the YouTube icon and the arrow icon. Watch what happens to the YouTube icon once I hover. Okay. Okay. Now what you see on the YouTube icon once I hover is that it moves up, and then this one picks in. And when you go off, it goes back, the arrow goes back down, and the YouTube logo comes back up. What you simply have here is what? Transformation. You have these things moving up and then coming back down. up and coming back down, up and coming back down. Okay, so I want you to really understand the principle, not just replicating this animation, because understanding it, you can look at any interaction and recreate. And remember, by recreating, you can now imagine and start creating your own. So almost everything here has interaction. Let's take a look at this free interaction, blah, blah, blah. You notice that the first state is basically a dot, a free interaction, and then the button there. Now, when you hover, what happens? The outline becomes whiter, and then the text too becomes whiter. That is basically what is happening. So the first state, second state, first state, second state, first state, second state, first state, second state, first state, second state. Now, easing is basically the way the animation is moving from the beginning to the end. In some cases, it could be fast. In some cases, it could start up fast and end up slow. Think of a car moving, right? You find out if a car is speeding, when it's about to stop, it does not just stop, it slows down until it stops. Okay, so you find out that's what easing is all about. How does it start and end? Okay, so I want you to guys to ask questions. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, drop your question right in the comment section. Okay, does anybody have a question? Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, good. Okay, good, good. Okay, Arome, what's your question? You can unmute and ask.
Okay, sir. So I'm just watching this thing. I'm still trying to get it as in correct too, because
Mm-hmm,
it's kind of a little bit confusing. I understood the
mm-hmm,
part when the YouTube logo and the icon are interchanging,
mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
I still want to get a little bit of small inside of it, sir.
Small inside now, two states, begin state, end state. You can see that these icons, they in one container, just that they are moving up and down within this circle. Okay, they are moving up and down within this circle. Okay, without further ado, let's go and try to recreate this. Okay, so let's go and try recreate this. So I'm going to come in here. I hope this works. I want to try and divide my system into, say, okay, let me arrange this back. Okay. Um, okay, I'm trying to. Okay, so let me see if we can. Okay, so okay. Let's. I'm just going to use. I'm not going to get icons and everything. So let's get the first things first. We have these two icons. Okay, moving up and down. Okay, moving up and down basically. So these two icons, I'm going to represent them with circle and rectangle. Okay, so let me draw my first icon. My first icon is going to be a square. Okay, let me make it 32 by 32. It doesn't really matter. So let me zoom in here. Okay, it's going to be a square. And this square, we're just going to make it gray. While my second shape is going to be, okay, let me use something very different, a star. Okay, I can actually do, okay, let me just do this instead. Let's not be lazy. Okay, let me just do 4, and let's do something like this. Let's do 34 here. Let's do 48 here. Okay. Oops, 48 and 32. I don't want to make it a little bit complex. That's just what I'm trying to avoid. Let me draw the polygon here. Let me draw the rectangle, and then let me rotate. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get that simple this thing going on there. Okay, I'm just going to use this. Don't worry now. Okay, no stress. Sorry, I'm supposed to use subtract. Don't stress much. Now the next thing I want to get, it's my line. So I'm just going to draw an arrow here, and I'm going to reduce this. Okay, we have this 2 here. What's the, okay, 48. Let's also use 48 as the width here. Okay, so we have this, and let's go back here. We can see the color there is yellow. So we can make the color yellow from gray to yellow. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose yellow. Okay. Okay. I'm taking note of those colors. Let me just go here and make everything a little bit rounded. That's why I didn't want to like design, because I just start trying to make everything so perfect, and time was, sorry. Okay. Okay, let's go with 3. Now we have these two guys. What we are going to do to these two is we want to add them in a frame. Okay, so I'm going to select the two of them. You can see they are not together. They are not together. So let me add them in a frame. Okay, let me add them in a frame. And yes, frame selection. You can group them or anything you want to do. I can say icons. The next thing happening here is I now need a container where I'm going to drop them. Okay, I need a container where I'm going to drop them. So anytime you're working on things like this, make sure you use your frames. Okay, I'm going to use a frame. Now for a frame, I'm going to use something like 48. Let's try 48. Depending on the size we want. Let's see. Okay, let's see 48 plus 8 for a frame. Would they sit perfectly? Let's add extra 8 plus 8. Let me see if they can sit perfectly. Okay, let's increase this plus 8 again. Plus 8, 64 plus 8. Okay, so let's select this and probably center them properly. Okay, let's center it this way. Now, this is going to be border radius 1000, so everything is a curve. Okay, you know, when you increase border radius to 1000, you can get like a curve. And the first one is going to be, we are going to have an outline. Okay, we are going to have an outline. So let's add that outline. Remember, we are trying to design this first state. Okay, this first state. We are going to give it this same stroke, the stroke of this. Okay, and we are going to use inner one, inner circle. Okay, let's use inside, and let's go ahead and make it like 4. Okay, 4 is much. Okay, I think we might want to use, let me see. Okay, we are going to switch it to outside. Okay, outside, and let's go ahead and use like 2. Okay, I just want you to see what we're able to do. Then the inside, the fill is going to be some dark. Okay, now let's position this well to make sure this is at the center. Okay, we are positioning this to make sure this is at the center. We have gotten the first state, but remember, see what's going on here. May not confuse yourself. We basically hid this guy. Okay, now watch. If I should transform this and move it up like this, you can clearly see what's going on, but I dragged it out. Also, you want to make sure you have clip content active. If not, if you drag this now outside like this, then go still, you see they are seeing the arrow. So you want to make sure clip content is active. Now, what I want to do, I can call here my stats, or anything you want to call it, call it. Then here we have the ending. Okay, the ending, end. In most cases, you just want to, I just want to show you the true names, but let me just, but this is our start, this is our end. So for our ending, let's go ahead and start switching things up. So I'm going to hold down this, and I'm going to move this here and bring this here. Center it. Let me hover this again. Okay, and I have that, and now I have thicker outline with a very large blur right there. So let's go ahead and select this now, the last one, and this stroke, we are going to change the color to this yellow as well, and we are even going to make it way bigger. Let's go with 5. Okay, we're going with 5, and we want to go ahead and add effect. The effect, we can use shadow. Okay, drop shadow. Now this drop shadow, let's first of all make it the same color as this guy. Now I'm just going to use one layer of shadow. If you look at this well, you find out that it's having like it's like two shadows basically. Okay, so but I'm just going to use one to try and get that. So I have that here. Let me go ahead and make here like 12. So let's use eight, sorry, 0. I want it to be within the Kiniko. So we have 0, 0. You can see it right there. Now I'm going to increase the spread. Let's increase the spread to like 8. Okay. Uh, we want to also decrease the opacity. So we want to also decrease the opacity. Let's use 50. Okay. And maybe this spread, let me go with 4. I think you did this class under special effects. So in case you've forgotten. Now the blur, let's go with 16. Okay. 16 kind of look much. 8. Okay, good. So this is what we have here, and this is what we have here. Okay. Um. Okay. I think I want to put two of them in a frame. I forgot. I'm supposed to put two of them in a frame. Let's just get a frame, a bigger frame, which will contain them. Okay. A bigger frame. So I'm just going to, let's do 100 by 100, not 150 by 150. So I drop this right inside here and center it properly. Then duplicate this, delete this guy, drop this here, center them properly. Now, both these two frames, I'm going to remove their fill. I don't want their fill, okay? I just want it so that I can see everything clearly. Now, I have state 1 and state 2. So to achieve this in Figma, you use something called Smart Animate, okay? In your interaction, Smart Animate. But first of all, we want to go ahead and convert these two into component sets, okay? Into a component set. So I come to component and I click create component sets. Already you know what component set does. It simply gives you the first one as the main one and the second one as the what is it called, the variant. Basically what we did is creating a component and creating a variant and styling it separately. Okay, so we can call this arrow animation, social media logo animation. Okay, and I wanted us to use live project so that it's not like a planned stuff, so you can learn better. So I'll go to prototype now and I'll say, when click here, drag. I'm sure you already know what I'm doing. We've done this before. So on click, instead of on click, I'm going to say on while hovering. While hovering, it should change to this frame 2. Instead of choosing instant, okay, I'm going to use Smart Animate, and that's all I need to do. But we'll talk about easing very soon. Let's just try this out first. Smart Animate at 300 milliseconds. Now, when I exit from hovering here, on mouse leaf, the trigger should be on mouse leaf. It should go back to this guy, and we're using the same thing. So let's come in here and let's get a frame to test out our animation. Let's get a frame. Let's get like a phone. Let's go with the iPhone 14 Plus. And I'm going to get our asset right here. So social media, where is it? From level micro interaction. Okay, this is our social media right here. Okay, so now that we've done this interaction, let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to click and I'm going to come here and let's see preview. Remember, it's interaction, so you are likely not going to see it until you preview it. Same thing if you are using Lottie file and you import like a GIF, you won't see the animation until you it's quite small. So this is what we have here. It's coming up. Okay, you can see what we have. You can see what we have there. Okay. You can see what we have right there. Now, the smoothing is not quite there yet. So it is this smoothing that you can now use something like easing to achieve. So let me use some of the preset easing right here. Okay. The presets, the easing here. Let's come back here. So let's change this easing. We have this one that's ease in and out. Let's switch them to ease in and out, and then let's see what we have. Ease in and out. Okay, so let's restart this animation here. Okay, so you can see what's going on right there. And I think the other way I did it is making it not really, this is just supposed to appear. Okay, it's coming out. It's just supposed to smoothly move on and up, but you can see what we basically have going on here. So you can also come in here and try out this other like this bouncy. Okay, let's take a look at this bouncy here, and let's also take a look at this bouncy here. Bouncy, and I think let me just go full screen now. Let me go full screen now. Where our yellow, this yellow one is just giving wahala. Okay, you can also see that our shadow, let me increase the size a little bit. Let me increase the size a little bit. Okay, let me do it x2 so that it's bigger so that we can see. Okay, so let's view it now. So definitely I'll go back to my ease in. But you can try this. Like I said, we are not going to be doing any easing class, basically. But these are things you get used to over time. Okay. Smart animate. I like using this easy in out. Okay. Easy in out. Let's try this easy in out. Also come in here. Easy in out. Meanwhile, if you want, okay, I said we're not going to be doing this custom spring. That's if sorry, custom bezier. We're not going to be doing that. That's if you want to smooth, if you want to create your own easing, that's what you use. So we have this, 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 we have this. Now, if we want, we can make it even faster. Now, this here is 300 milliseconds. The higher the number, the slower it is because this is in milliseconds. Okay. 1000 milliseconds makes 1 second. So if I want this to even be faster, if I take it to 150, it will be faster. The way it comes in will be faster. Okay. So now let's restart this and let's see. You can see it's faster there. It's so fast. You definitely not like it this way. But a good number I like using, that 300 is great. But for most of my micro interaction, a good number I like using when I want something to appear very fast is to just say half a second. Okay, half a second, which will give you like 500 milliseconds. Okay, 300 is also a good number, but I find myself using 400 and 500 most of the time to just achieve something more realistic, right? You come in here, okay, you can see this one, it is coming in a little bit slow, but this thing is not supposed to appear like this. It's appearing. It's just supposed to, I think it's from the two it's from that box I drew in at a later point. I didn't plan it from the beginning. It's just, you can see the way this one is coming in. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. And yes. Okay, probably want to also increase the shadow and all those things to achieve that effect that we really want. Let me see. Let's select this instead of white. Instead of white, let's go ahead and also make it a little bit dark. Okay. So let's go back to 300. Like I said, 300 is a good number. That's why it's the default one. But I always find myself using between 400 and 500 in most cases. Now, if you want it to be very slow, you want to go ahead and make it higher than that. Okay. So we have this, 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 we have this. So with this now, you can see how we were able to create this simple interaction. Okay. At this point, I want you to ask questions. So we'll take a look at another example. This is basically your end state, your beginning state, your beginning state and your end state. Then you interpolate between them using smart animates. That's the basics of interaction when it comes to Figma. Okay. Any other one? Any other question?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm going to we are going to view another one. Okay. Now, watch what happens on this subscribe. Okay. Watch what happens on this subscribe. So, Arome, tell me what you noticed when I hover on the subscribe. The best ever picture. Till now, they like they over 1,000.
Sir, there was a transformation there, sir.
More than 1,000 likes. Explain now. Everybody know there was a transformation. Waiting transform.
Leave comment. When you over on it, the subscribe change to try for free.
Last time I checked. Okay. That's all.
So that's all. That's all I can say. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So if you look well, aside the transform, the subscribe, changing to try for free, the whole button moved a little bit up. It like moved up and then added like a shadow. Okay. It moved up. If you check the under, you notice that it transformed up and then we now have like a shadow. Yes. Yes. Now, if you want to recreate this, so anytime you are creating your micro interaction, just remember that there's going to be one big frame. Okay, there's going to be one big frame containing it so that you can use the big frame as the container, allowing you to transform objects inside it. So let me close this. The first thing we want to do actually is to do our subscribe with that arrow up. Okay, that's the first thing we want to do. And that's let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's tap subscribe. Okay, after typing subscribe, let's use size 18 just for this, and let's go ahead and use something like medium. Okay, let's close up the gap a little bit, -2. Okay, I think it's even bigger, -4. Okay. Okay, so we have this and we have this arrow pointing. Just let me draw it this way first. Let me set the width to like, let's say 16. And let me rotate it to about -45. Sorry, I think it's 45. Okay, and let's just drop it here. Let's set this to 1.5. And I'm just coming to put it here. And I'm going to change this, select the two of them, Shift A. Okay, remember it's a button we are trying to create first. Now, this Shift A, let's add some padding. I think this guy, I might want to select it, okay, and then make it around 14. Okay, so this Shift A, Let's add a padding to it. Okay, so let's add our padding. Let's go here with 32, and here we are going to go with let's say 32 as well. Okay, watch carefully. Oh. Okay, here is 16. Okay, 16 here, and we want to go ahead and give it a corner radius. Let's just do everything 100. Okay, so I'm going to, because I want to see what I'm doing. Okay, let's do this first. This is the first button. Okay, and then this is the second button here. For the second button, it changed to yellow and black. So fill here, yellow, and the text here, black. Oh. So we've gotten for this two. Okay, we've gotten that subscribe, although it's a little bit lighter, but we can use this for now. Okay, now we are going to get the next frame, which is this guy, this big guy here. Okay, this big guy here. Okay, I think I would have done that before using this color. Let's do that at once. Let's add another frame. Okay, Shift A for the bigger frame. Let's add a stroke. That stroke is kind of gray, and we're just going to do 1.5, and it's fully rounded. 100 should fully round it. Okay, and we're just going to use 16. Okay, let me delete this, or let me just bring this down here. Let me select this. Okay, good. Okay, it's still not much. Let me increase this to 40. Something is going on here. This guy is set to fill. Oops, it's set to hug. Let's set it to hug. Okay, let's set it to hug. And this one, we're going to duplicate this guy. We're going to duplicate this guy, Control D, and the second one is going to have that color. Okay, I'm just thinking of how it's going to look right now. I've not done this before now, so I'm just using the same principles I showed you to work on this. So if I'm just doing it, this is how I'm going to achieve it. Okay, I'm selecting these two, I'm adding them in an auto frame again. All right, I'm going to increase this frame. Sorry, I think I'll put this outside instead of an auto frame. Let me do Control Y. Oops. Let me go ahead and color it white, and then here black. But this, I'm going to remove this. This is not going to be auto frame for me. Let me just drag these ones outside first. This particular outside one, I'm going to just make it a frame instead of an auto frame by minusing this. Okay, so I have my auto frame here for this guy. Okay, good. So I'm also going to select these two now. I'm going to select these two and add them in a frame. Okay, let me add them in a frame. Good. So let me select this frame and click content. Ah, oops, I added them in separate frames. Sorry. Okay. Okay, let me just remove this two. So these two now, we're going to add them in a frame selection. Okay, and let's drop it right inside this frame. Okay, good. Now, inside this frame, we're going to clip content, just like what we did earlier. We are basically going to move this like this. Okay, that's what we're basically going to be doing. And let's see. I think let me select this and properly align it. Okay, good. Maybe the height, I want to reduce the height a little bit. And the height, I want to go with 120. Okay, I think this is better. Oops. Now, anytime you are dragging it like this, you might want to hold down Control and space so that it doesn't go outside the frame. Okay. So this is what we have here now. And the next thing is to remember this. Remember this. The next thing is to get. So I think this has a feel. It has a feel. Let's fill it up with something kind of blackish. So I'm just going to use this for it. So let me just use two because ours is bigger. So next thing we want to do, let me move this a little bit up. Okay, so this is the animation we want to try and create. You can move it on your own to see what happens. Okay, center. Next thing we want to do is to get a frame to hold our main animation. Remember the main frame, okay? So I'm just going to draw a small frame here. Let me just draw this small frame here, and most of the time just use circle, okay? Square. It should be a square frame. And I'm just going to remove, let me select this. Okay, let me delete this. I'm going to remove the fill color. If you want, you can remove this, you can make it like this. Okay, let's use it. But in most cases, like I said, you can use, in most cases, you want to use square, but this is what we have. Now, let's duplicate this now. When you duplicate this, you want to come in and move these a little bit up. Okay, and let's go ahead and add that shadow. So effect plus shadow. Now this shadow is going to be, let's go with 12. And let's increase the transparency to about 75. Let's increase the blur to about, what we have here, 12, 12, 24. Okay. So we are still going to test it and see if it works. Okay, I think the shadow is not extremely blur. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to go to effect and I'm just going to reduce the blur to about 12. Okay, and maybe this I should go with 8. Okay, now we are done with this. We repeat the same thing again. Select these two. This one, on this one, we move again. To this guy. Again to that guy. And here, let's go ahead and convert both of them to, okay, I'm trying to respond to a call. Uh, okay. I'm actually trying to send the message. I have a call coming in. So let me see if I can just quickly send the person a message. Okay, so let's select these two again. Okay, come here, create component sets, just like we did earlier. Okay, and from here, okay, remember these ones we want to remove the fill, no fill. Okay, so that we can just see our design. Now we want to go to prototype and we can say on hover, the same thing we did last time. On hover, change to this, and it's easy, blah, blah, blah. Then this one, sorry, on hover while hovering. Then this one, we move to this guy on mouse leave. Okay, so let's test it out. So let's come back to design and let's go ahead and move this. We're going to move this up. And let's go to assets and let's drag in that asset in here. Okay, so I'm going to drag that asset in here, and then let's increase this again and test it out. So the thing here, you need the take home here is that you are the one creating the beginning and the end states. Nobody is coming to help you create it. Okay, because most people see this animation, they think they will just do a baracadabra and it will happen. It won't happen that way. You are the one going to be creating it, both the end states and the middle states, and the the beginning state and the end state. So let's try this. Okay, okay, you can see we have that interaction right there. Now, it is not just recreating this thing that is what I'm trying to show you this evening. It is you understanding how it works, so that if you see any animation, you are able to recreate it on your own. And how does creativity even start? As you recreate this, you can just say, okay, what if I also change the color inside here? Or what if I introduce something else? What if I make the outline change to another color? I can now come in here, okay, and say, you know what? Let me do a little glow. Aside this thing, I want a little glow right here. Then what do? I come in here, I introduce a little ellipse. I'm showing you what creativity is now. I introduce a little ellipse right here, and I'm going to make that ellipse yellow, okay? And I'm going to make it very blurry. It's going to be layer blur. I'm going to make it layer blur. I'm going to increase it to, like, let's say 50. Okay. Now I'll decrease it very tiny, move it up. Oops. Let me move it up. I'm moving it up manually using my hands, using my arrow key. Let me even reduce it a little bit more. Let me reduce it to like 25 and see what we have. Okay, that's 25. Let's push it down a little bit. Oops, 25. Let me go back to the blur. Move it down. Now I'm actually previewing it right on the design itself. Okay, I can make it taller. Uh-huh. Let's me increase this to like 40. Okay, because the smoother it is, the more glossy it will look. Okay, good. Now I'm going to copy this at this position. Copy it at this position. Okay, copy it at this position, and I'm going to nudge, select this one now, and paste it right there. Oops. Paste it. Oops. Paste it. Where is it instead? Where is it exactly? Let me go to my layer and investigate where it is. Okay, this is my blur. Let me call it blur. Let me copy it. Let me come to this one. That's inside frame 4. So I want to open up, I want to select frame 4 and paste it there. Okay, so let me move it and position it where I want it. I want it just right here. Okay, now on the original one, I can select it now. This blur now, I can select it and nudge it all the way down where it's not even showing. Okay, now I've introduced my own creativity. I come in here now, and this is my interaction. Okay, these people own no get glow, my own get glow. Their own is papa, my own apale. Are we together? This is basically how you improve your creativity and whatever it is you want to do. Now, another thing I can do here is I can now come here. You see this angle, this guy that I did at angle 45. I can now come here and remove it. Okay. Okay, I think this one should be the one that is 0. This guy, I can come back here, select this guy, make it 0. Remember, we talked about all the things we could animate. Then if I restart this, watch that one too also has an interaction now. You can also see the movement, okay, the movement of that guy. Now we've done a lot, okay. These are just micro interaction. Any question? Do you have any question? Because some of the projects you are going to be working on next week will have micro interaction. That's why we're doing micro interaction now. Okay. Remember, I told you the next 3 weeks is going to be projects. Okay, it's going to be projects. After which we've done those projects to master some of these things, we are now going to take a look at how to design a website and how to design a mobile app. Then we'll round up our training. Because in a nutshell, this is what we are most likely going to be doing. But from what we've covered, you already know how to use Figma. Now, I'm sure anybody taking this class by now should know his or her way around Figma. Okay, that's, and also the habit of starting to design. That was the aim of the first first month. Now this second month we are focusing on learning, like, some UX. How do we do research? Like on Saturday now we're going to be doing practical research, how to start your research, how to do and analyze. Okay, and then alongside this week, you are given a work to do, just a design. Now, the essence of that design is to help us know that, okay, you are able to replicate designs. If you are looking at the design, you should do it. Or you can even trace the design. That is fine. Next week it's also going to be different. It's not going to be that much, but it will introduce what interaction. On the upper week, we are going to ask you now to find a fault in a design and adjust the design, and so just small, you keep growing. So, but based on what we've done so far, do you have any questions? Now, remember, if you don't have these parent containers, if you don't have this parent container, you will not be able to achieve this movement up, okay? Because you won't have a place to serve as your transformation point. So if someone didn't, if somebody was not here when we started this, they would end up designing just this button and this button, but they will not add this frame. So they will be like, I've done my interaction, but why is this guy not moving up like it's supposed to? Like you can see here, why is it not moving up? Well, the reason why it's not moving up is because you didn't add that transformation. Okay. So, any other question? So I'm just going. Okay, Emmanuel Thompson, go ahead.
So, sir, this stuff now that you did.
Yes.
So, if
Yes.
we attach a link to that second button, that's the end.
Yes.
It's going to go,
Yes.
Abby. So
Definitely.
before I used
So
to
you
use,
can always.
I used to use before I used to see, I used to think it's mouse over that they use, but I saw
Okay.
that you didn't use mouse over, you used something else, leave or something. I can't remember
Uh,
it again.
if you attach a link, you can always, if you want a link, you attach it and then you add a new interaction, which is click. So on click, it
Yeah,
should go
yeah,
to the
yeah.
link. Yes. So you can add more than one interaction on an element.
So, so one of the things I've noticed about interaction is the fact that I noticed that sometimes you can't do multiple interactions with one button.
I can't really hear you well.
So I'm saying that what I've noticed is that you cannot sometimes do double interactions on a particular button. Why is that? Or
Like
is
I
it
said,
because
is
I'm not using variables or so? Well, I've
no,
seen people use calculations and the
yeah,
same thing I cannot do, they are doing it and it's working. I'm like, oh, I don't know this
yeah.
one.
It's
So
just the
what's the
planning. The planning, right? It's just the planning. If you notice here, if you come here, prototype, okay, you can always, depending on this now, maybe after this, you can add a new interaction.
and that
Okay,
one will
on
go? It will go
yes,
because
it will
there's
go.
no interaction on it.
Exactly. So sometimes if there are two things you want to really animate. You
Yeah.
can create an invisible. Now, this is Figma constraint. Now, it's not how it's supposed to be in real life.
Yes. Yes.
In
Yes.
Figma now, you can just be a little bit creative. Create some people create invisible shapes that
Okay.
could drive the second interaction.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So if I want to like make this button clickable now, I can make an invisible shape on the two of them. On the first one, that shape won't show. On the second one, when I'm now here, that shape shows, and I can now see a clickable hand. I click on it, it takes me where I'm going to. So sometimes you just have to be a little bit, you just have to think a little bit on how to achieve it. Most things that you see online, or most things you see most designers do, are not that straightforward, and that is why it's called creativity. I get it. It's not always straightforward. Some people use different technique, like just like I said, like most of the time. But to be sincere, I hardly do interactions on Figma anymore, especially if it's
To
a
be
project I'm going to be developing. I would rather use
okay.
Figmotion or any
Sir, that big
online
motion that you
interaction.
mentioned, that big motion
Yes.
you mentioned is a very critical something. So,
Okay.
will you give us an example of maybe something on how whether one how to animate one thing of big motion? Because
Of
I've
course, it
not
won't work.
and
It
no,
it
and
has to
how
work
to
in live
export it
projects.
and present it. Okay, it has to be a live project. Yes, I know.
Yes, it's pure
Okay,
code.
maybe it's pure code.
Yes.
Are you
So
serious? What kind of
yeah,
code? Is it
it's something you
HTML,
can.
CSS?
Yes, it's something. It's basically. I think it's a React. It's built on
Ah,
top React. I think so.
I know
But it's
Sabi
something you implement. It's something you implement directly on your production at a production level. If you are using
you know,
Webflow,
because
WordPress.
I know that Fig Motion has timelines. So
Yes.
with timelines, you should be able to do all those things now. But my own challenge now is how do you export, how do you carry a full work that you have done on Figma and you start animating everything and you now how do you export
Yeah.
it for presentation? All those kind of
You
things.
and you. If you are already developing either WordPress, Webflow, or Framer, after you've done all your customization, right?
Yes, sir.
For WordPress, what I use most of the time is the HTML element. So you copy it and paste. Use the HTML element, and because after everything they will give you the code. So you go
Okay.
and paste it, same as Webflow. If you're using Framer, it's even easier. It's even easier to just integrate. Another good one I use a lot of the time is also GSAP. We have GSAP. So most of the time, if it is a project I'm going to be developing, I hardly do the interactions on Figma because I just feel like it is double work. So I don't.
No,
But
so but
if it is
again,
something I'm not going to be doing, then I just create the interactions so that the developer will
sir,
know what to do.
when you talk of usability now, when you talk
Yes.
of user experience, now we want to do the prototype so that somebody can test it, so that we won't waste the engineering resource.
Yes.
So I think that's where the prototype now becomes a necessity
Yes, but it
to
has to
do,
be a low fidelity kind of animation, right?
not
There are a
serious,
lot of
serious, serious.
animation. Yes. In reality, but the reality is if you are working in a company,
Sincerely, we know they do all this kind of animation.
when you
It's
hear
true.
prototype, if you are working in a company, when you hear prototype, they are not referring to Figma prototype. When you hear
Yeah,
prototype,
either the is the life they're referring to.
exactly. So if you are working in a product team, what happens is that they pair you with a front-end developer or any developer, right? They pair you with a front-end developer. When you design, you communicate with the person, they develop it, and that one when they develop, that's what you call the prototype. But it's only when you are in a design setting where there is no engineer or where you are not working with an engineer, that is where you go ahead. For instance, there are a lot of things that are time wasting to do on Figma. Example is on page scroll animation. If you want to replicate a parallax animation on Figma, it's going to take you more time and more screens duplication to just achieve something that if you want to achieve with code, is just to set something using an open source software to already achieve it easily. So most of the time you are looking at cost and time. But again, the thin line here is if you are going to be developing the software or the design yourself, or you are actively working with a developer, what you do, annotate and explain the kind of animation you want so that the activity code.
Sir,
That's the
another
thing.
thing I just remembered.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you going to teach us how to do developers handoff? I think
Yes, we will be
and
doing
again
that.
how to do proper documentation, especially for development. Because to be honest, at some point, I've been really bothered about this thing because sometimes when I see designs that I do and the way the developers finish, I'm always very sad. And it's like, here I no go they do this thing by myself.
Yes, for
So
that
that's really the
one in every team, you are likely going to see a team. So when you see your design don't come out the way it is two of either. It is that it's probably the developer does not have the skill set to develop what you've designed, or it costs more to develop what you've designed. So they go for something cheaper, right? Because at the end of the day, businesses wants to ship fast and make more money. Your designs and everything is fine, but if they find an alternative that can make it faster and easier and people already using it, like I said, the first rule in tech, it is to reuse. Okay, that's the first rule in tech, reuse. So if there's something that's already working and it's not broken, reuse it as the first thing. So most developers tend to make sure that, especially with companies and CEOs, they want to go fast. So that's why they don't sack designers after the project is live. So when they've developed, at least when they've launched first version, in version 2, they can start looking at your design or whatever you are proposing. But that version 1, or when they are trying, when there's a deadline. So sometimes it's like I said, it could be developer and sometimes it could be cost. Okay, it could be developer, it could be cost. Now, for instance, if you are making heavy animations, like if you are trying to do like 3D animations, or you are trying to implement WebGL right inside a project, they might calculate the cost of loading. If it will cost more time and take more resources, and it's just there, it's not like it's helping to convert sales or something, they might just remove it and say, give us something static. And that is why most people, instead of just implementing something that is even interactive, they'll just say, you know what, just convert it to a video. Let's just have it looping around. Okay, so there are a lot of things when it comes to the business part of design, there are a lot of considerations to be made. Okay,
okay.
but at
So
an entry level, you just need to know basics.
okay, so sir, but at some in a situation where you don't know the developer and you need to communicate the effects you did.
Mm.
Now, because when you mention Figmotion, is there a way we can just use Figmotion to just do the animation then? Just show them by looking at, because most of the guys I've worked with, they're always like,
Mm.
let me see prototype first before I do anything. They're always like, let me see prototype. I was like, this thing a simple thing. I wouldn't show them example of something that has been done, but they will see the say, no, the prototype you go
Mm.
show me. The
At that
so
point,
I
the
was
person
like,
wants
okay,
to do it.
okay.
So what I do, I'm sharing my own personal experience, just like you said. What I do is when I'm creating something and it has to do with interaction or a lot of motions, if I'm not the one developing it, I do annotations. So in my annotation, I can give you a link to where I saw the interaction. You go there, you do it.
Okay.
Okay, I can send you a link to where I saw the interaction. Now,
Developers
if it
is
is
delayed.
if it is the only time it is important for you that interaction, for you to do that interaction, is if it is something extremely custom, something very custom. What I could do in that case, if it is very custom, I can do it in After Effects. and then link the video of the interaction for you to see.
It's a be
Okay.
After Effects too.
Yeah, but you not learn it.
You know, go teach us this one.
No,
It's
no,
be part of
no.
animation.
It's not part. So I can
Macro
do it.
and
I can do it in After Effects and then send you the video and the link to the file, because I can share the After Effects file so you can generate the script directly from After Effects and then
yeah, but you
run
know
the
it
script.
will take you time to do After Effects too. Because After Effects
No,
you get
it's if it is no, it's I don't use that. I'm not a video editor. I'm not a I'm not a VFX artist. So my Cinema 4D, my After Effects, I use it mainly for web development. So I don't do all those heavy lifting stuff. So most of the time I'm just doing basic morphings, just those properties I showed you that you can animate in a project. Those are just the things I'm changing and then just making things smoother. So I'm not doing something crazy, right? I'm not
okay,
using
sir.
it to do something massive. If you want to do something massive, you call a VFX artist. Now, when you are a product designer, you want to go and do VFX. When you know, say, you never learn VFX, that's when it becomes you lie inside your CV. But like I said, if I've seen the interaction somewhere, I just send you the link, because users are not coming to use my Figma file. They are coming to use what you develop. So why
So
should I
now,
start over scratching my head on it?
okay. So you know the project that you gave us, the assignment you gave us to do,
Yes.
the website now. For example, now I want to, for example, I want to create that kind of website on
Mm,
WordPress.
yeah.
So do I need to do you, you know that website it gets some kind a lot of curves, it gets some kind fanciful stuff. So are
Mm.
you can WordPress help us achieve those things
There is no
effectively?
website on earth that WordPress can't do.
Okay.
There's no website layout. As long
So
as you
so
are, ever since they
even if
design builders, once you are using something like
okay.
Elementor, Timify, what is it, all of
That
them,
in fire, I don't know that in fire. We did talk about. I will look
it's
and
not
work.
really popular. I just went with it because it's a little bit cheaper for me, and over the years I just got used to it. But Elementor is more, more. Elementor is better than Timify, but then I use Timify mostly. I use more Elementor if the client pay for Elementor. If the client don't pay for Elementor, I just use Timify, so I don't stress myself because I already have like a lifetime stuff. So there is no element, there's no layout you can't design on WordPress in terms of UI, but nothing.
Yes,
If you
sir.
now want to add something like WebGL, it's just a matter of what adding custom code to your WordPress site, and it will work.
Okay. Very well. I will be seeing you personally for that because I have a
Okay.
project. Yes, sir. Thank you for the class today.
Okay. Arome, I'm sure you are lost. Anyway, don't be don't be confused. I think he's just he's already on the development part, so that's why I'm able to we just have these questions and answer. So, like I said, micro interactions micro interactions are not difficult, okay? So if you check all this, I'm sure when you see something like this, the problem with beginners is that you look and you don't look at the same time. So make sure you pay attention to details. All these things, they are easy to do. All these things, they are easy to do. This one now will come in like this. You should just know that two of them were all in this what is the column? They were in that frame. One was hidden, the other one was what reviewed. Okay. If you want to recreate something, you can also recreate something like this also on Figma. But like I said, there are things that are just waste of time for me. But all these things you can learn them one after the other. But it's the same. What is it called? You can see this one, this movement from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. It's all the same. Um, what is it called? The same principle. Beginning states, end states, beginning states, end states. And you can, aside buttons, you can also do with pictures, you can also do with but please, whatever you are doing, make sure it's realistic. Don't go and do interactions that are not realistic. Like all those ones you see, I always see them on Instagram, and I'm just like, what is going on here? Don't go and do all those ones where food they rotate. There's a lot of YouTube videos on that, but it's not necessarily what a developer would do. I don't know if you've seen those ones. When you say you hover on food here, the food go rotate, new food go enter. So nobody orders food like that. Imagine they have like 100 food, 100 dishes. And so you're going to rotate among 100 dish. What if you want to go back to the fourth one? Well, I don't day. So another screen, I'm just going to share most of these screens again. So these are some places you could go to get inspired with micro animations. Okay. This is another animation library. Let me see. Okay, animation library. You can see the animations. Okay, you can see all this animation. So you can see right here, I can just download this and implement it in my project if I want something like this. Okay, than coming to Figma to stress myself. And most of the time, you can just come here, or let's say you are looking for a loading screen. Okay, if you are looking for a loading screen, let's say I'm working on a screen here, and I need like some animation. Okay, if I need like some animation, maybe I'm working on the thank you page. Okay, let's say I'm working on a thank you page. I can just come here and launch my load file. Okay, I launch my load file. It's coming up. It's Abi. My network don't finish. Ah, why is it not coming up? Why is it not coming up? Why is it not coming up? Let me try that again. Okay, it's coming up. Again, reuse. Don't say another person do them, and you start feeling what they call, some people will say it's imposter syndrome. I think my person never where's a man never hold, then they get imposter syndrome. When you realize that businesses don't care, they just want to make as much money and profit as possible within a short time. They don't care how you do things, they want to see results. Okay. So you can basically see the interaction. You can see this one, they even did three steps. So you can do multiple steps if you want. But what I want to do here is you can come to discover here. Make sure you're under free animation. Don't go to premium where you know say you are not subscribed. So you can just say success. If you search for success, you are going to see different animations for success. Okay. So okay, you can pick any of these. So in my design, I can just decide, okay, that screen, let me put one of these things here. So I select it, and I'll just go ahead and insert it as a GIF. Okay, insert it as a GIF. Don't forget, you can actually recreate something like this. You can recreate something like this on Figma without needing this, but sometimes you have to work fast and smart. Okay, but anytime you are using custom animation or tools like this, one thing you should always take note of is after inserting it, make sure you also download it or go to Loti file direct and download it so that when you are doing your handover, you can hand over this Loti file itself, the link itself, to the developer, right? Because you're with this one, they can get what you call the JSON file for this animation, which will always make sure the animation appears crisp. You notice that if I insert this as a GIF, uh because we are not even subscribed, we can't even go for the large version, but always make sure you have this transparency activated so that it will come with background. Now if I say insert as GIF, it's going to come out nice, but it's not going to be extremely sharp. So please take note, do these things directly. I don't like using the plugin right here. Do this directly from the Lotifile website, export as GIF, bring it into your Figma file. Okay, now we're also going to look at one last thing, is inserting. It just inserts um it's working, it's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up. Let's see. That minute. Okay. Okay. So you can see when it inserts as a GIF, you won't actually see it. Let me reduce it to about 0.75. You won't actually see it. Let me center it. But when you play the animation now, if you go back to preview, if you play the animation, if you play the animation, you are going to see animation play. Okay. Uh-huh. So that's it. So you can integrate this into your design and move time no day. You can do this on Figma, yes. Now, if I want to do this on Figma, I basically have to recreate, see what's happening here. You have to recreate this end state, okay? This end state. Let me pause it. I want to pause it at the end state. See, if you want to create this on Figma, you have to create this circle with this sign, get all these elements around it, okay? That's the first thing you need to do. That's the end state. Sometimes you want to design from the end state to the previous state. So after you've gotten this one now, what do you do to get this version where you know they show? All you need to do is to what? Select this first one self, make them smaller, pack it and drop it under this shape. Now select everything now and scale it down to 0. You scale it down to 0, you make the opacity 0 as well. That will now, you now make that one your first state. So you find out that it will be empty. It will be empty like this on the first state, right? It will be empty. There will be nothing showing. There will be nothing showing. Then when you now play it, it shows that state. Okay. So sometimes for animations like this, you want to first design end states, then work backwards and design first states. So take note, but work faster and smarter. If there's already something like that you want to use, don't come to Figma and start creating loading icon. You are wasting time. You are wasting everybody's time, right? You are looking for a loading icon, like those normal loading icon. In fact, if you go to Figma communities, you are going to see a lot of micro interactions, okay? But the reason why I'm showing you this foundation is so that if you want to create something custom on your own, you can do it, okay? Or if you just want to practice, if you want to show your skills, you can do it. If I come here and type loading, I'm going to see a lot of loading icons that I can use. You can see all these ones. You can use it. You can use it in your project. If you want more, you click. I know someone have seen a logistic motor. See them. Okay. But as time goes on, you might, as time goes on, not now, not now, not now. As time goes on, you
Now
might
the
want to take a look.
problem, now the
As time
problem
goes on,
is that
uh,
the problem is that most of the problem with the animations that you take from this place is because it is not uniform. It's just like illustrations. Illustrations will no uniform. You're going to use them on top. You're going to use different illustrations for a project. You will not make it look
no,
good.
they
So that's usually the
no,
challenge.
you can always edit them. So if you go to the main website, you can edit them. So you can reshape some of these
Okay.
things. You can change the colors. Yes, you can change the colors. You can basically customize them to suit what you want.
Oh, okay. No problem. I will explore
Yes.
that.
Okay. I think that is for now. Anything you want to do is to follow it. Okay. If you let me show you one again that most people like doing all the time. Then we call it a night. Okay, let's just do two more. Okay. Now, another way you can create interact something very interacting, like I told you guys, some people mix videos in their design. Okay. So let's assume you are working on something for Web3 or anything. You can go to, let me see if I have, okay. Okay. Now, you can go to a place like Envato and search for assets. So if I'm looking for assets, I might want like a video. Okay. I might go for a video asset. Okay. Stock video. Now, if I'm on stock video, I can search for Web3 background. So I can search for Web3 backgrounds. I can do abstract line. Oh, I don't space out. Okay. Now I can get something like this. Okay. I can keep going. I can also do okay. I can also get something like this. I can also do abstract shape, animated abstract 3D shapes. Okay. Or you can search for orbs and all this thing, okay? Something like this. Anyway, the way I'm choosing based on experience of things I've designed in the past. So if you are looking at it, okay, one mistake most people do is if they are looking at these videos, they are just looking for fine videos. Rather, what you want to look at is something that matches what you are trying to do. Okay, so if you are doing like NFT, you can search for animated 3D character. Okay, you can get some nice assets. Okay, you can get some nice assets that you can use for your designs right here. Okay, let's come here. This one, okay. So you can see something like this. And one thing I like doing is if I see an asset I like, chances are not only this one the person do. So I can visit the person's profile direct and see similar elements like this and see how it can match into my design. So something like this now, okay? This is how you improve user experience, okay? Now, let me see. Let me just oh, it's going to be a zip file. Okay, so let me just quickly show you guys. Let me download it without license. Okay, I'm just trying to show you how to improve user experience. And this is if you don't know how to use any editing softwares, any 3D softwares, you can quickly do this. So let me take this away. Kilo day.
Oh, you want to teach us how we go come out the event, Abi?
No, I have an account, so the inverter will not be there.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, if you have, yes, if you have anything you need an inverter, just let me know. I can download it and send to you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's still loading. 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 My network, yeah, my network is quite slow. But what I wanted to show you is that now imagine I have a feature I want to explain. Okay, I have a feature I want to explain. Instead of just having a picture, and I want to use two column. Okay, I want to use two column. Instead of just having a picture on the left and my text on the right, I can introduce this kind of video right there. Okay, there's these guys. Let me show you these guys. Hope I can. Oh, wait, the thing what I do for them still they don't come out. Uh, mm, my network is extremely slow. But what I'm just trying to say is you can introduce videos. Okay, you can introduce videos to your design. So instead of it just being bland, you can have video right there. Okay. Okay. Now, this is supposed to animate. Now, video. There's a video under this thing. video again, I started playing. Now you can also use this kind of video now. Imagine using this as your background, okay, for your project. You can use something like this in a section, this kind of video here, and type. Then this is playing at the same more internet. And this is how you improve but remember, there's a price to pay when you want to start including heavy animation, and that is the price is the site might become a little bit slower. Although there are techniques you could use for there are technique the developer could use to make it a little bit faster. But this is just some of those things you could do to improve the experience of a website. Okay. Yeah. So any question? I was on this is still the download, so I can't do that here. Okay. So any question?
Alright.
I want to go
So,
ahead and round up the class.
so
Okay, Emmanuel.
I noticed that this site that you did, this front now site that you did,
Yeah.
everything is centralized, right? Yes, correct. Yeah, so but when I went to that place under this is the future of commerce, then
Yeah.
there's one part that I want to know your thoughts, whether it was intentional. There's one part that where you have conversion rate and it now shows numbers. Then the space was
There are a lot
big. But
of
when you
part I
now come
didn't
to
really do.
oh okay.
Yes, so they have a lot of people that worked on the part, but I'm not on the site now, so I can't really. I would have gone there, but
I noticed it was also
you
Webflow
know,
that
follow
was
for today.
used.
That's that. It was done on Webflow. I have Webflow sites, I have WordPress sites, I have Framer sites. But I do
Now,
more
but
of WordPress because
what influences your decision on using Webflow?
the money, the time at hand,
Okay, okay,
and the it depends mostly it depends on the money and the company. Now, if you are working with older companies, they already have their stuffs on WordPress, so you don't want to go and start
exactly.
trying to tell them to move to Webflow, which you know it's going to be more stressful. So I just continue on WordPress to make whatever they have already better. Now, if it is a website where the user is going to be interacting often with their site, like posting blog and the rest, I don't stress myself. I just use WordPress. Okay, I
Okay,
use WordPress
okay.
because the CMS is kind of easier for people to do. But if it's a new company, like if I have a company that just started like last year or this year, I would recommend something like Framer to them. That's if it is like a digital agency or a SaaS company, you know, all these flashy,
Yeah.
flashy kind of, yes, I will use it for them. But if it is corporate, I will always use WordPress because corporates what they have Wala and they eventually have lots of content. And also in terms of costs, like I said, for me, WordPress is still the cheapest option when it comes to developing a site. Because for me, if you have Elementor, if you have like the if you have like
The pro version.
the 1000 website version, right?
Yes.
Although mostly I have like this friend I use his to do because obviously it's not doing 1000 websites a day in a year. In my 7 years of design, I've not done up to 50 websites. So there's no need to get that pro. That's why I got the Timify, the lifetime version. But like I said, Elementor is better than Timify, but I got it because it's a little bit cheaper. And I use Elementor once in a while, okay? Once in a while. So most of my projects for corporates, I use WordPress because I know it is easier and cheaper to maintain. With Webflow, once you pass the basics, every other thing you want to do, right, is going to be paid for. And if what you're just doing is like a business website, e-commerce website, you don't need it. Where I actually use Webflow is if I'm trying to build like a web app, something that needs authentication, something that needs custom database and things like that, I might want to use Webflow. Okay.
So, sir. That reminds me. So now, because you know what, why I'm asking is because I'm looking at doing a company website by myself. So then I'm looking at the fact that because it has a lot of integration and some things connected to the app. There's a lot of things that they did with API keys from backend guys. So
Mm.
so I've been thinking about, I don't know, can you work on WordPress
If
or
there's
Webflow?
a
I've
lot
been
of
thinking of it.
integration, there are a lot of integrations, then Webflow is the way to go. If there are a lot of integrations, API and all those things, Webflow is the way to go. That's if you have the resources, okay? Because Webflow is very good when there's going to be heavy uh, custom development. Webflow is the way to go. But when you are looking for something fast to launch fast, you want to go with WordPress. With API, if you don't have the plugin, it becomes an issue, right?
But
And
sir,
if you want
but
to start,
WordPress
right,
don't date for a very long time now. It's supposed to get everything where we they look for.
it
WordPress
has,
is I've been around.
yeah, it has just that with WordPress, if you want to start doing all those API, you have to install a lot of things that you probably don't need. So that's the difference between WordPress and Webflow. In WordPress, even if you just want to do something small, it might need you to download a plugin that does
A lot
1,000
of
things.
things.
I get it,
Oh,
and it
okay.
starts taking on the server and on the speed, and you know. But with Webflow, you can just take one thing you want and plug it in, and then write it. Although with ChatGPT now, you can always do custom. I think most of my current WordPress projects, I had to use ChatGPT to write custom plugins that I needed instead of paying or buying. So you
Yeah.
can also explore
You
those
wrote the code
options.
with ChatGPT.
Yes.
Oh my, getting to learn. So I can't teach me this.
Just do the one you are currently doing. The best way to learn, like I tell people, the best way to learn is to learn with a problem. Let's say you have that problem at hand, then you learn it. But don't learn without any problem to solve at hand. Like me, when I started using ChatGPT to develop my plugins, that's custom plugins, is basically when the need arise. I've been arise, I've been arose. When there was a need for it, I was able to now use ChatGPT. At that point, it made sense, right? Because there was a website I was working, and I think the first one I used it for, there was a website I was working on, and they needed people to take exams on those websites. But unfortunately, they don't have the resources to go and build an examination platform. So what they did was to use something called class marker, right? And then on that class marker, they didn't want people to know that they were writing that text on class marker. They wanted it integrated as if it was happening on their website,
Oh, okay.
right? Yes. Now, the good thing was class marker had this ability to integrate into a WordPress website where you won't see the class marker. But the problem is, if you finish the text on that platform, it's going to send the result to class marker. So there's no way to view the result on WordPress. But they wanted everything seamlessly. They don't want people to be going to class marker to view the answer or to view the result because it will now be obvious that it didn't happen on that platform. So what I was now able to do was to go to class markers API. I'm not a developer, but I have experience. I studied it and I copied the entire API to ChatGPT, tell it to study it, and I started telling it what I wanted. And at the end of the day, within 2 hours, right, 2 3 hours, we were able to develop the plugin. And then I took the plugin um, to WordPress, activated it. I got my dashboard. I got all the results. Immediately they finished, the results were entering WordPress, so there was no need to go back to ClassMarker.
Wow.
I've done a ticker plugin. I've done a lot of plugins with Chat GPT. So yes, so a lot of things. You can achieve a lot of things with. But like I said, the best way to learn is when there's a need for it. You use it at
So,
this stage. Do your design and get good design.
so I will
Okay.
see you after.
Okay, I'll see you guys on Saturday, but please make sure you complete your assignments. And there'll be some, I think there is likely going to be assessment this week. Okay, small, you catch up. Okay, please, we can't learn everything in 3 months, but sometimes I give you these informations for you people to know that there is more, there is more, but you don't need those more to get a job at this stage. Remember, the aim of this training is to get you is to make sure that by the end of this training, once you are done with your portfolio, you get a job. If you already have a job, you become better at your job and they increase your salary, or you threaten them, you threaten to leave. So that's a design system you are doing. Do it well so that you can use it and hold their neck. There
Yes,
are
sir.
things that you should set up in an office. You are literally holding their neck, and they can't lose you. They can only increase your salary. Okay. I'll see you guys next on Saturday, but make sure you complete your project. Those of us watching on YouTube, thanks for joining. I really appreciate you guys. And I will see you guys on Saturday. And bye bye. Let me stop the streaming now. Okay, stop streaming. Okay. Okay. So good
Thank you,
night.
sir.